Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Greater Birmingham and Solihull LEP series of online events, Resilience, Evolution, Recovery. My name is Mark Smith. In my daytime job, I'm the Executive Director of Business Engagement at Aston University, and I play a role at the LEP on behalf of all four universities. But today, I'm hosting this opening session ahead of the Green Recovery Workshop. We'll be diving into the subject of green recovery after we hear from the Chair of GBSLEP, Tim Pyle, and Director, Katie Trout. But first, a reminder that the GBSLEP works in partnership with public, private and academic sectors for one sole purpose, to drive inclusive economic growth. They do it in a number of ways, as you're about to see in this short video.
It's been a year like no other, but here at the GBSLEP, we continue with our central ambition to drive inclusive economic growth.
From Birmingham to Bromsgrove, East Staffordshire to Redditch, Wyre Forest to Cannock Chase, Solihull to Tamworth and Lichfield, GBSLEP has been working towards our ambition of making your city region the best place to live in and to work in. In Birmingham City Centre, Phase 1 of the Paradise development opened up this year.
I was very excited at the thought that had been given to the way in which the new buildings were going to complement and help reveal some of the old sight lines of Birmingham. And now, as Phase 1's finished and Phase 2's coming on stream, I mean, it's great to see new restaurants are here and occupants for the offices that are here. And it's just great to see Paradise come to life.
Away from the city centre and to Perry Bar, we've also allocated money to Birmingham City Council's build of the Alexander Stadium for the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Our investment in infrastructure enables job creation across the region, including Redditch Gateway.
The whole project is absolutely vital for the people of Redditch. The current climate with COVID and everything, I think having jobs coming to this town is absolutely key right now.
Over in Lichfield, the completion of this bridge on the southern bypass means there's access to a new housing development. Ensuring our residents have the best access to public transport is also a key achievement. In Kidderminster, a brand new station for commuters and staff.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, the station itself looks beautiful, state of the art, eco-friendly. It attracts people to come to the station. I enjoy coming to work in the morning to look at my new station.
But in order to grow our economy, we need our residents to have the right skills and training. Over 1,000 apprenticeships have been created through partnership work. At Chase Terrace Academy in Burntwood, it's full marks from this Level 3 teaching assistant.
I find it's really helped with my confidence being able to obviously learn but also work as well. It's given me the experience as well as the learning opportunity.
This year also saw the start of the Inclusive Commonwealth Legacy Programme. It's aimed at developing capacity and capability for diverse-owned businesses to win contracts regionally and globally.
I've gained a lot of knowledge in a short amount of time. I've been looking to find people like this, and they're right on my doorstep. So the LEP programme has been a fantastic resource.
But of course, it's not been plain sailing. COVID-19 has had a huge impact on businesses. So we stepped up with Step Forward, our ongoing campaign to help with resilience, survival and recovery. Over in Sutton Coldfield, the Town Hall is pivoting its services.
By getting the money to invest in weddings, we now feel we've got a new lease of life, not just to compete with other people, but to be ahead.
And right across our towns and local centres, we're working with our public, private and educational sectors, creating a sense of place and belonging, from Bromsgrove to Shirley to Soho Road. It's been a busy year, and there's still plenty more to come.
As you can see, that video gave just a small snapshot of the work that GBSLEP is doing across the region. The LEP strategy is to use the views and expertise of the area's businesses, local authorities, universities and colleges, third sector organisations and representative groups to focus on what matters, enabling job creation. With more on this and how the green recovery offers all of us long-term opportunities, let's hear from the chair of the LEP, Tim Pyle. Please feel free while Tim is talking to submit questions and take part in the polls voting that will pop on your screens. There'll be a Q&A session coming up right after this video, and you can submit your questions via the chat box to me. Thank you. Over to Tim.
Good morning and welcome to the Greater Birmingham and Solihull Local Enterprise Partnership series of events. Despite the challenging circumstances we all face, it's wonderful to see that so many of you have been able to join us today. It's hugely appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. This year, we've taken a really different approach and will be holding events over the course of the week, exploring important topics that help improve our economic resilience, that help our businesses adapt and evolve, that help drive our region's recovery. Resilience, evolution, recovery. I truly hope that you will find the content insightful, productive, and ultimately fruitful. My name is Tim Pyle, and I'm extremely proud and extremely privileged to serve as the chair of your LEP. LEPs perform a quite unique role in bringing together the public, the private, and the educational sectors. Partnerships working is at the heart of how we operate, forming a powerful collaboration to identify opportunities to grow the economy and ensure our businesses, residents, and places are enabled to reach their full potential. And that plays to our single-minded mission to drive inclusive economic growth, growth that results in more jobs and results in a better society for all our citizens. There is no doubt that we're all up against it. This year we have faced and are still facing extremely difficult circumstances wrought on us by the COVID pandemic. Unprecedented, devastating, challenging, all overused words, but all true. And we have the additional challenge that EU exit brings to so many of our businesses, cultural assets, and academic institutions. It is indeed tough times. I cannot overstate the profound impact of the coronavirus pandemic on our region. Some of Greater Birmingham's enduring strengths, advanced manufacturing, construction, retail, the cultural economy, our young, diverse population, the exceptional academic sector, our track record in innovation and startups, our outstanding performance in attracting foreign and UK investment, the many strengths that have driven our growth and renaissance in recent years, these have left us vulnerable to the impacts of the pandemic. However, they will also be some of our greatest assets in our recovery. The region has a history of resilience, of evolving, of being truly innovative, and I profoundly believe that we can, working with our partners right across the region, rebuild, reimagine, and reinvent our economy, build it back to be even stronger than before. The GBSLEP's purpose remains clear and unwavering throughout the current crisis. We will build on our business-led, agile approach, our strong local relationships, and our proven track record to deliver high-impact solutions at pace. The galvanizing role LEPs play in the region has really come to the fore in our response to COVID. We have brought together input from business, local government, business improvement districts, universities, and many other partners to develop and guide a set of immediate interventions. We utilised our unique partnership networks, our local insights, and our strong existing evidence bases to target a series of support specifically for our local economy. Katie will indeed give us much more detail on this in a moment. And while the LEP is proud to play its part, it must be recognised that all of this could only be achieved because of the commitment of partners right across our region, commitment from hundreds of individuals across the private, public and educational sectors. My profound thanks go to each and every one of them. And thanks to the exceptionally dedicated executive team and to my fellow directors who give up their time freely and help make these initiatives a reality. Our shared ambition is to drive economic recovery based on building resilience, enabling innovation and building capacity in burgeoning sectors and developing a workforce ready to take full advantage of the opportunities. This approach is very much in line with the theme of this conference series. As a region, we must focus on increasing resilience now. We must do anything we can to increase resilience and protect jobs. Our businesses need greater support to adapt and to evolve, to seize emerging opportunities, develop new products, services, and markets. The business crisis we face has a strong Darwinian flavour. Business survival is not just about size and speed, but primarily about the ability to adapt and to evolve, ready for the post-COVID economy. This will lead to a stronger, greener, more inclusive recovery. It has never been more important to invest in our future, focusing on market needs and sector strengths, which are unique to our region, generating new ideas and solutions, and creating new, skilled jobs for the benefit of everyone who lives and works here. This requires the academic, public, and private sectors to continue to develop an ecosystem where businesses thrive, because business is a force for good. It is easy to forget, and I think many people do forget, that business is the building block, the DNA, the lifeblood of any positive and successful economy, and thus of a flourishing society. It lubricates the ecosystem, it innovates, it nourishes our lives. Growing businesses pay more taxes, create more jobs, and employ more people who pay tax and spend money in their communities, people who have an improved sense of self-worth. It is a truism that a strong economy requires a superb health system, excellent physical and digital infrastructure, brilliant academic establishments, whilst the public sector needs a vibrant economy providing jobs, wealth, creation and taxes. Truly symbiotic, not competitive. As well as our response to COVID, we have continued to deliver, with partners, a multitude of interventions to stimulate growth of our key sectors, including expanding the services available through our Growth Hub, to provide joined-up, tailored business support and access to the right type of finance for businesses to scale up. And as importantly, we're addressing local business skill needs by accelerating the increase in our skilled workforce through piloting innovative approaches that connect growing businesses and enterprises to motivate and recruit young and diverse talents. We remain committed to securing the future of our towns and local centres, which form such a crucial part of our economic fabric of this region, by providing funding and evidence to create inclusive and exciting places, optimising our natural and cultural assets. We need to reimagine the role and purpose of town centres to ensure they are fit for purpose in a very changed world. We forge on with delivering our growth programme, utilising funds like the Local Growth Fund to create jobs and enable new homes. Our capital programme this year surpassed £180 million worth of investment. And we continue to be deeply committed to deliver the hugely exciting investment in our enterprise zones. It's well worth reflecting on the exciting renaissance our city region has experienced in recent years. At the beginning of this year, our area was the fastest growing region in the country. Since 2010, our economy has grown twice that of the average of major English city regions. We've achieved a £12 billion increase in GVA, and more than 162,000 jobs have been created in the private sector. It's an economy which at 50 billion is bigger than 6 Eurozone countries and encompasses 60,000 businesses, 1 million jobs and 2 million citizens. The Greater Birmingham and Solihull region is home to world-class businesses such as data-driven health technologies, modern services, and low-carbon and environmental technologies, the topic of today's session. Tackling climate change is the biggest challenge we collectively face. Achieving a green recovery offers huge long-term opportunities for us all, and our region has real strength and is an ideal location to drive the country's green recovery and its longer-term green industrial growth. With existing strengths in transport, battery storage and renewable energy research and production, plus international centres of excellence in innovation, we're not starting from scratch. The existing energy and low-carbon sector in the West Midlands is already contributing £3 billion worth of GVA to the West Midlands Combined Authority, across almost 1,000 enterprises and 22,000 jobs, and it is forecast to dramatically increase. Businesses in our region are developing and delivering services and technologies which are critical to meeting our net zero targets. And there are so many more opportunities for us to embrace heading down the track. The massive £800 million investment at the Commonwealth Games, turbocharging supply chains and export growth. West Midlands 5G, the first multi-city testbed. The arrival of HS2, creating 175,000 jobs and significant business opportunity for all. But I will not pretend challenges as well. The twin challenge of the pandemic that continues to have a devastating impact, coupled with reaching the end of the transition period with the EU exit, doubly difficult for so many of our businesses. However, I absolutely believe our region has the talent, the determination, and the collective will to weather the storms and embrace the new opportunities on the horizon. Cross-sector collaboration and business leadership, coupled with unparalleled regional insight and the sense of enterprise, are all features that distinguish and define the LEP movement. Your LEP stands utterly ready, incredibly willing, and demonstrably able to step up and do what is necessary to continue to drive economic growth. I am certain that everyone joining us this morning has a shared ambition to play our part in ensuring a stronger, greener, and fairer recovery, and making our tomorrow better than today. I would urge us all to take this opportunity to listen, reflect, learn and commit to collective action that goes well beyond this week of events. Thank you very much.
A very powerful video there from Tim Pyle, highlighting how we were strong as an economy and how we need to evolve and change and develop to be strong again after the COVID period. The LEP obviously has a pivotal role in helping that evolution and recovery, as we'll hear more about later. A reminder, there'll be a live Q&A session directly after the next video, which is from GBSLEP Director Katie Trout on the work that's been done this year and what's to come.
Thank you for joining us for GBSLEP's Resilience, Evolution, Recovery event series. Throughout the course of this year, I'm pleased to report that GBSLEP has made substantial progress across our key areas of activity, including delivery of our growth programme and bringing forward interventions to unlock business growth, stimulate innovation, increase skills levels, develop vibrant places, and harness the potential of our cultural and creative assets across the region. Although there has been much success, there is no escaping the fact that COVID-19 has taken a heavy toll on our economy. Businesses, their employees, and the self-employed have all been seriously affected. It's been a turbulent year, and we've all witnessed firsthand how quickly we have needed to adapt. As you've just heard from Tim, in response to this crisis, GBSLEP has collaborated with partners across the private, public, and academic sectors to establish projects to help businesses adapt, aid resilience, support those facing redundancy or disruption to their training, and ultimately help to enable a strong and sustainable recovery. In May 2020, GBSLEP launched its Step Forward campaign to encourage impacted business owners to come forward for support and take a step on their journey to adapting to the changing environment and increasing their future growth potential. 7 schemes were designed and launched with the support of multiple partners from across local government, business improvement districts, education and business representative organisations. Schemes like Digital Welcome, which provided one-to-one support with identifying new online revenue streams and increasing online presence, to the Retail Recovery Programme, which provided advice on reopening safely as well as cash flow and stock management. Whilst our apprenticeship and triage services worked with employers and individuals to help those impacted by the crisis. Central to our response in delivering the Step Forward initiative has been the GBSLEP Growth Hub, a single point of contact for business advice, funding and support for any business in our area. Faced with the national lockdown in March, we quickly expanded the support available through the hub, diverting more of our resources to ensuring businesses could readily access the advice they needed. Since then, the team of dedicated advisors has been further increased so that now we have more specialist support available in the hub, covering our key growth sectors and issues that are critical to business, such as access to finance, resilience and growth. One of the key initiatives within the Step Forward campaign was our Pivot and Prosper grant programme, from which I'm really pleased that 52 businesses will benefit from £1.9 million of grants. As a result, hundreds of jobs have been created and safeguarded across the LEP's geography. The levels of innovation shown by the successful businesses has been hugely impressive. For example, Icon Exhibitions in Cannock utilised the funding to develop a whole new range of products and enter brand new markets, while CNG Services in Solihull pivoted their business model to exploit new business opportunities, which could lead to millions of pounds of new projects that contribute to carbon reduction. And Pychem in Tamworth updated their entire IT system and processes to accommodate remote working. The 52 projects that this funding will enable are a huge testament to the creativity and resilience of the individuals involved. Building on learnings from these programmes, Phase 2 of our Step Forward initiative is currently open, and I would encourage any business who feels they may benefit to visit yourstepforward.co.uk. And remember that even if you don't qualify for any of the current programmes, the GBSLEP Growth Hub is still there to support you and put you in touch with our numerous partners in business support. To bolster our key sectors and to start to realise some of the ambitions in our local industrial strategy, we have delivered sector-specific activities, including those focused on ensuring our region is ready to take advantage of new opportunities as well as address barriers to growth. In May, we published the most in-depth and far-reaching report on our growing fintech sector, outlining steps that can be taken to promote the continued growth of the sector through an integrated approach. We're exploring the benefits of a health technologies cluster organisation to further strengthen Greater Birmingham's digital healthcare offering. The area was recently earmarked as a high potential opportunity by the Department for International Trade. recognising the sector's capability to be a key driver of sustainable economic growth in the future, and we are determined to make the most of this designation. Other developments have included partnership working to pilot new approaches to multi-employer apprenticeship models in the creative sector, supporting rail suppliers to access new contracts via our high-speed mentor programme in collaboration with the Rail Alliance, and developing the region's first low-carbon action plan. These interventions will help to ensure that we are well positioned to seize opportunities for an accelerated and sustainable recovery, and supporting businesses with changes emanating from our exit from the European Union. We've also evolved our sector action plans into sector recovery plans, identifying the needs, risks and opportunities for each of the key sectors, whilst considering the constantly evolving context. Working in collaboration with our neighbouring LEPs in the Black Country in Coventry and Warwickshire, the West Midlands Combined Authority and the West Midlands Growth Company, we've engaged hundreds of businesses from across our key sectors in the development of these plans, and we are working hard with partners to support the implementation of them. Ongoing engagement with industry is critical to ensuring we are targeting interventions in the right areas. So please continue to let us know about opportunities and barriers that you are facing and how the LEP may be able to support. Along with businesses, the survival of our towns and local centres is crucial to our region's strong recovery. There were already significant challenges pre-COVID to the competitiveness of towns and local centres as they made the transition from a retail-dominated core to wider social and leisure hubs. These challenges have been exacerbated by the pandemic, despite the increased focus on localism and neighbourhood facilities. The LEP's Place agenda not only recognises the evolving role of local high streets, but also the need for interventions that support a green economic recovery and carbon reduction opportunities. This year, significant work has been undertaken to support local places via our Towns and Local Centres framework. We've already allocated over £500,000 of funding to support projects across the GBSLEP area, including a project to improve Shirley Town Centre by working with the council and local businesses to develop an action plan to maximise the high street's distinctiveness. A third round of funding has just closed, and we look forward to being able to announce successful projects in the near future. Learnings from these projects will be shared to provide support to other local centres. The quality of our cultural assets are also key to our ability to retain and attract investment and add to the quality of life of our residents. Our Cultural Capacity Development Fund has awarded £81,000 to support the development of place-based cultural activity. Projects that receive funding include a heritage corridor for North Worcestershire and Creative Corners, a brand new cultural offer for children at Cannock Chase. Another critical piece of the growth and recovery puzzle is ensuring that we boost our skilled workforce to address gaps in key sectors, and that we work to inspire our young and richly diverse communities to enter and progress in employment opportunities and pathways in those sectors. We have continued to advance with our Plan 10,000, a 3-year programme to significantly increase higher level skills. The approach includes a focus on capital investment in further education and training provision, and interventions to increase the creation and uptake of apprenticeships. Partnership working in collaboration with local projects and employers is hugely important to unlock this ambition. To that end, I am really pleased to be able to announce the launch of the GBSLEP Skills and Apprenticeship Hub. This key skills initiative will allow us to deliver a completely business-focused skills offer to employers across our area. Our apprenticeship advisors and skills brokers will work with employers to design and develop a demand-led approach to training, bringing all the expertise and support services that are available in our area under one umbrella, a truly one-stop shop for businesses to have their training and skills needs met. We will also use the hub as our vehicle to deliver our employer-focused responses to government initiatives such as Plan for Jobs, Kickstart, apprenticeship grants and traineeships. Despite the difficulties of the COVID-19 pandemic, we continue to have an exciting pipeline of important projects, including those within our capital programme. This year, our local growth fund reached a major milestone, with investments surpassing £180 million, creating nearly 5,800 new jobs and unlocking nearly 1,400 homes since its inception in 2014. Projects that have received investment have had a positive impact on key growth sectors, increased skills provision, unlocking underutilised land, connected areas and improved the public realm, all of which are crucial drivers for the region's ongoing success. For example, the Birmingham Energy and Innovation Centre will deliver innovation-led growth and stimulate collaborative research and development projects to generate new jobs, drive productivity and overcome local energy and low-carbon transport challenges. A new engineering academy in Cannock Chase will deliver 450 high-level engineering qualifications. The Churchfields Urban Village housing-led development site, located to the north of Kidderminster Town Centre, will be unlocked through improvements to highways infrastructure. Lichfield Southern Bypass will enable access to a housing development site and facilitate new employment site that will create 1,450 high-value jobs and new office space. Birmingham's 121-year-old Belmont Works factory will become the new home for Birmingham City University's STEAM House initiative, which aims to drive innovation and economic growth by connecting traditional STEM disciplines with the arts. And Burton's Regeneration and Flood Defence project will improve flood defences and regenerate the adjacent Washlands area to create an environmental visitor attraction. In addition to the Local Growth Fund, £25.5 million was invested in 2019-20 to support the development across the enterprise zone, an investment which has leveraged £200 million of private sector funding. This investment was made possible by borrowing by Birmingham City Council against retained business rates. Phase 1 of the Paradise development has now delivered 335,000 square foot of prime office space, and work has commenced on Phase 2 of 1 Centenary Way. In total, the Paradise scheme is projected to deliver 10,000 jobs. The metro from New Street Station to Centenary Square became operational in December 2019 and is the first tramway in the UK to operate on battery power. And the development work for the Southside Improvement District has commenced to transform the Southside area into the new front door of Birmingham City Centre. All the activity I've highlighted today is not achieved by GBSLEP alone. It is born out of strong collaboration across the public, private and academic sectors. I'd like to give my huge thanks to our partners across the entire region, our dedicated board and our talented executive for their hard work and commitment. Thank you once again to all of you for logging on to join us for our Resilience, Evolution, Recovery event series. The key objective this week is to engage, collaborate and collectively examine how we can work together to build a sustainable and inclusive economy through COVID-19, the EU exit and beyond. I really hope that through these sessions we can share our local insight, capture your experience and ideas and ignite new conversations and partnerships in support of our mission to drive economic growth, create jobs and improve the quality of life for all of our communities. Thank you.
Welcome back. It's brilliant there to hear from Katie on all the range of things that have been done by the LEP over the past year. A fantastic range of things from the Pivot and Prosper grant programme right the way through to the Skills Hub investments in the enterprise zone. I'm delighted personally to be joined by Chairman Tim Pyle and Chief Exec Katie Trout now for a live Q&A session. Thank you for sending in your questions. Questions are coming in from our audience, which is superb. Katie and Tim, great plans there, great achievements over the past year. What about the plans for the coming year? What kind of things are you lighting up this year with the LEP?
Katie, do you want to take that one first, or?
Yeah, very happy to. So we've got huge plans for the coming year, and it's we've started to, through those presentations, hopefully give you a bit of a sign of what's to come. I mean, a really important focus for us as a LEP has been around our key sectors. So we have been developing sector recovery plans, working very closely with industry to develop a set of interventions that will support them both through the current pandemic, but also importantly through the end of the EU transition and beyond as well. So we'll be looking very much to implement those plans now, doing what we can as a group of partners to realise them, but also seeking further funding and support from government and others where is necessary to do so too. Sorry, Mark.
Brilliant, Katie. That's really cool. So that this comes back to Tim's point about evolving and change. Tim, is that right? This is where the direction is going, to help firms to evolve and change?
Exactly, and I think that's, in terms of adding to what Katie's said, I mean, and frankly, her brilliant presentation in terms of all the things that are going on. I think it's critical that in the same way as we've tried to help business evolve over the last few months, as we have been in the face of this pandemic, that actually as we go through the next few months and the next year, but frankly, the next few months is critical, we support businesses evolve, change, hence the Pivot and Prosper campaign, hence the Step Forward campaign, hence the growth hubs and all that they do, and the Skills Hub and all the other key business support that we, at the end of the day, it is critical that we support business in every way we can. Clearly, we've got a lot of investment going on, which is great over the next few months. We continue to invest in all sorts of infrastructure and skills initiatives, etc. But we've also got to give day-to-day support to business to make sure that they can evolve and emerge from this twin crisis, frankly, of both COVID and as we go to the end of this year with the EU exit, emerge stronger and make sure we deliver jobs and skills and real economic growth as we go into 2021.
I think that's an important point. On the questions, Philip Davis asked whether this second issue that we face with the exit from the EU is going to be as damaging to the local economy in Greater Birmingham Solihull, maybe as COVID has potentially been. What are your views on that?
Crumbs, that's, better economists than I have been trying to answer that question. I know that, I think I'm right in saying, Mark, the Bank of England have said that, the long-term impact of, if it's a no-deal Brexit, is going to be, significantly greater. It's really difficult. I mean, I think the key thing is that day to day, a typical SME or a business or whatever is faced with these two massive challenges, and to somehow calibrate which one's worse is probably wrong. I mean, they're both just massive for someone trying to build their business, trying to grow their business, trying to do the export, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we've just got to, accept the fact that they both have huge, devastating impact, which they do, devastating impact on our economy. And the reasons we've been such a successful economy, our manufacturing, our academic institutions, our innovation, and what makes this region so brilliant, they've been hurt by the pandemic, and they're going to be hurt by Brexit. So we've got to support businesses in any way we can as we go through this.
Yeah, that's cool. Katie, you're geared up for that support, though. The Skills Hub is a great innovation for the coming year, and obviously the Growth Hub has proved its worth over the crisis as well. Are there other things as well as these two fantastic pieces that you're going to play in?
Well, just to build on the point around the Growth Hub and the Skills Hub as well, first of all, I mean, I think through the additional capacity now we've got in the Growth Hub, we've got a fantastic resource there for businesses, and we've got a series of account managers who are really focused on growth and resilience, which will be able to guide businesses through some of the challenges we've got with the ending of the EU transition period, for example. We've also got specific account managers with certain sectorial themes too, which will be able to provide specific support for those businesses. Very much linking into our partners, DIT being a key example, because the change in export arrangements, whether there's a deal or not, will be huge. Likewise, I'm incredibly excited about the launch of our Skills and Apprenticeship Hub. It's been a while in the offing, and I'm so pleased we'll be able to launch it now, because I think it couldn't have come at a more important time for business. And I noticed one of the questions there from Pam was around how the two link together. Absolutely intrinsically linked. So that the Skills and Apprenticeship Hub is part of the Growth Hub. So any business contacting the wider Growth Hub with a skills or employment or a training need will get passed through to advisors who can help specifically on all of those. And then in terms of your question about what more can we do, well, it's really how we work with the sectors on this. So we've got individuals within the LEP team whose role is to work with industry to understand what the needs, the challenges and the opportunities are, and then help bring those together so that we can design interventions to try and support businesses through what is a hugely challenging time.
There's some massive transitions coming up. There's a question in the chat about office space and demand for office space. Clearly, the whole physical built infrastructure involvement that the LEP has had in helping catalytically drive forward new projects. What do we think about the demand for new office space as we go forward? I mean, bearing in mind, the university's been open all the way through this crisis, and the demand for physical space still exists. But what do you think about the world of work?
I mean, it's an extremely difficult question to answer, Mark, because none of us have got a crystal ball. But I saw the question in the chat bar. I think it's extremely, the reality is that, the pendulum swung an enormously long way, obviously, with us all working from home, if you possibly could, et cetera, et cetera. And the pendulum will not swing all the way back to as it was before. But it will swing to somewhere in the middle, most likely, where we will work differently. I mean, the main thing COVID has done is accelerated change that's already there. So there were already changes going to the way we work, etc., and the way we travel and the way we use the internet. And basically, COVID has accelerated that hugely. And it's, one business I'm involved in says it's about 3 years of transformation condensed into a few months in the way that So we will see change. However, two things. Firstly, there will continue to be a need for office space, strongly believe that. And that's why our investment in the enterprise zone is so important. And secondly, quality will rise to the top. And we have superb office space in the centre of Birmingham, which is the particular question being asked. And I think that office space will continue to be in high demand, and indeed has actually seen in the last few months some of that office space being taken up by some really fantastic institutions. So the demand's going to remain strongly, I think, is the answer to your question. However, it'll be used differently in the way that we work and the way that we drive change together. But I do honestly think that at the end of the day, we're social animals, and we will want, if we're going to drive innovation, we're going to drive creative solutions, people will still get together in offices.
That's true. Katie, did you want to add something there? Sorry, I sense you
No,
wanted to add.
just completely endorse what Tim said. So certainly that's what we're hearing from developers. It's been the experience at Paradise, for example, with Argent there, where they've still been able to announce new tenants coming through. They're still having lots of conversations. So the demand for foot space hasn't changed, floor space, but what has changed is the way that is configured. So it's not about lots of individual desks, which people will have, and that'll be their space. It's very much around space to collaboratively work together and to have breakout meetings and that sort of thing. So I think the demand will be there. It will be a different form than we've seen in the past.
No, I think that's an important point. I think things will change. I think obviously the city centre attracts a lot of large businesses, PwC, HSBC, some of the big names that we see, but the lifeblood of the region really are the smaller and medium-sized enterprises. And indeed, Tim, to cement, evolve and change, support for emerging businesses and sole traders is really important. How might that be articulated by the LEP over the coming year? Will there be more support for small businesses and startups, or will it be a slightly different dynamic?
I think there'll be as much support as we could possibly do. I mean, SMEs are the lifeblood of the region, obviously. And one of the things I'm incredibly proud of within our region is the fact that, last year, i.e. 2019, last full year we had something like, I think, 15,000 startups in our within the GBS area. And we had a more success those startups, and those startups then scaling up into becoming better businesses. And that's what drives innovation and drives new jobs. And we should never forget that, we have a lot of fantastic big businesses, but we've got this huge quantity, 60,000 businesses within the GBSLEP area, huge quantity of SMEs and entrepreneurs and, etc., who are utterly critical to driving the economic recovery. And therefore, we will do everything we possibly can. So I don't know whether the support will change, Mark, but we will absolutely do all that we can to support them through the growth hubs, through the sector prioritization that Katie talked about, in ensuring that we look at those sectors, take the creative sector or the life sciences sector, which have got a lot of these SME business to which you refer. We look at those sectors, look at how we can really help those individual sectors right across our patch and support the SMEs within it. I used to run an SME. I'm a huge believer in the power of SMEs to have that transformative power for our economy.
I think they are really powerful, definitely that thing. Katie, did you want to add anything to that, or?
Just to say that in addition to that, we're also looking at the sort of space that startups might require. So actually where we can use our capital investment to support the unlocking of sites where there can be communal creative space for SMEs to come together, because they might not want to have a sort of standing space the whole time, but they'll want certain support around them. So we're absolutely keen to support where we can on areas like that. And then we're also, with some of our sectors, looking at sort of space again available. So there's a particular study for health technologies that we're likely to commission, which will be looking at what sort of incubation space there is out there within the region, where there might be gaps and how we can help to try to fill those.
Fantastic. Now, look,
just adding to that, Mark, if I may. I mean, as you look through the subjects we're covering this week, we've got the green recovery in a moment. We're going to be talking about towards the end of the week. We've got Friday. We've got town centres. These are really important topics in terms of the SME agenda, because SMEs are crucial to green. They're crucial to the skills discussion we'll be having on Wednesday, to the town centre discussion and local centre discussion on Friday. These are all at the centre of what the LEP is trying to do to support SMEs.
I think it's exactly right. I was going to move on to the green recovery theme of today's piece and say, look, the government appears to have woken up a little bit to green. George used this on Radio 4 today, this morning, talking about helping the farming community with sustainability, putting back hedgerows. I'm not sure George is going to plant in those hedgerows himself, but you never know. The impacts of COVID, the impact of Brexit. Jamie Morgan is talking about sort of Brexit as -4 of GDP. And understanding that whole contraction of the economy. At the same time, we're going to be pushing and helping people grow their green credentials, pushing forward on green business. How are we going to do that, Katie?
I think we, as a LEP and as a region, are really well placed to respond hugely positively to the government's 10-point plan when it comes to green recovery. So I'm very excited that we've got the session today to help explore some of those issues as well. But as a LEP, we've been trying to do what we can to support that so far. So certainly we've used our capital funding to support a lot of low carbon initiatives. So for example, investing in hydrogen buses in Birmingham, also helping to open up Tyseley Innovation Park as well, and also helping to extend the metro from New Street through to Centenary Square, which runs on batteries, the first in the country. So I'm very proud of what we've been doing with our capital resources. And then also we are the lead for our low carbon and energy technology sector in the region as well. So we've got a really exciting group of businesses that come together to drive forward that plan. I'm really pleased that Michaela, the chair of that group, is going to be heading up the next session for us. And that plan has been very much built on a huge amount of input from the industry. So again, it's coming up with lots of different proposals around skills, access to finance, business support, etc., to help with all of that. And then we as a LEP are also actually at our board meeting on Thursday taking a look to see what else we can possibly do to support the low carbon agenda. And I think that's incredibly important that we see how we can play our role alongside the local authorities, the combined authority and a wider set of businesses to see the support we're able to provide and how we can best use our money, our resources, our procurement to drive those wholesale changes that are needed if we're going to realise the net zero ambitions.
I think that's a really important point because you talked in your presentation about I think unlocking 1,400 homes in terms of one particular development you invested in, and there's a question that's coming about support for off-site manufacturing of homes and retrofitting. Is that something that's very strong in your agenda, and how does that stack up with the West Midlands Combined Authority, or also similarly thinking about homes and homes development?
Yes, it is incredibly important to us. Actually, what the construction sector is one that the Black Country LEP leads on behalf of the 3 LEPs and the combined authorities. And I know there's some really exciting plans that they've got in the Black Country to look at new ways of home building and how those can then be kind of translated across the broader geography. So I think it's really important that we look at that. I think there's a huge opportunity as well to look at the potential around skills when we look at retrofitting, because if we want to again realise the ambition around that, actually we'll need a hugely skilled workforce. So there's a big potential for local residents to get involved in that piece as well that I think we should look at. And I think it's also important to say that whilst there's some big housing schemes that we've been supporting, we've also been looking at some much smaller ones as well through our Unlocking Stalled Housing Sites work. And again, it's how we manage to bring forward those small sites as well as those larger ones in as green a way as we can to help support the housing need, but meet low carbon ambitions as well.
I think that's really good. Tim, I want to sort of zoom out a little bit now. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the Combined Authority, and you'll be working obviously with Sir John Peace and the Midlands Engine as well. But a lot of the oil behind all this is cash, is money. And we're coming to the end of the Local Growth Fund. Tim, what do we think about successor schemes to the Local Growth Fund, and how might they impact on the GBSLEP's work?
I rather hoped you might know the answer to that question, Mark, because it's a huge question. I mean, the Local Growth Fund comes to an end at the end of this financial year, obviously, and I noticed a question in the chat bar about how much is left, etc. I mean, the Local Growth Fund is pretty much committed, and the additional monies we recently got are pretty much committed. Clearly, in the spending review, there was a reference to the both the investment, so the infrastructure investment, as well as to the levelling up fund and so on. So there are large sums of money being allocated by the government to the country to, if you like, bid for, I guess, as we go through this process. However, there's no clarity yet on exactly how the Local Growth Fund will be replaced as we start the next financial year. or there's been a lot of talk about this thing called UKS, UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which is going to replace both the European funds, but also take us, if you like, the key infrastructure and the typical economic interventions that we make will be funding those, be they in skills, be they in infrastructure, whatever. However, that is not yet finalised, and there'll be a white paper coming forward towards the end of this financial year, hopefully, which will clarify the situation. But we genuinely don't know yet as to exactly what funds will be available. Clearly, the sooner we have sight of that and clarity on that, the better, because clearly we want to get on with the planning to show how we can support business in our region. So it's a critical issue. It's clearly been delayed by the pandemic and by a number of other issues. Once it's resolved, we'll be then able to plan and move forward accordingly.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tim. Tim and Katie, I'm really grateful to you both for the Q&A session. Sadly, we've run out of time. We have made a note of the questions in the chat bar that have been sent in, though. We will respond to those later and make sure that every question that we've been sent is addressed. But I'd like to thank you both for your time and kicking off this session on green recovery this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thank you to all the questions.
Thank you.
That brings to the close the opening session, and now on to green recovery. I'm delighted to be able to hand over to Michaela Kendall, CEO and co-founder of Adelan and chair of the GBSLEP's Low Carbon Steering Group. She'll take you through to the next part of the session. Michaela.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Michaela Kendall, the hydrogen champion for the UK and CEO of Adelan. Even before COVID, Adelan were developing an exit strategy from the carbon economy from air pollution. But today, the focus is on accelerating post-COVID green recovery. The government recently outlined a 10-point plan for a green industrial recovery featuring clean energy, including hydrogen, transport, nature and technologies. This is part of the Prime Minister's mission to level up across the country, mobilising public investment to create 250,000 highly skilled green jobs in the UK and leverage 3 times as much private sector investment by 2030. This green recovery is an opportunity to work towards a common goal and coordinate the vast and unique assets of the region. From commercial energy use, transport to digital connectivity, the LEP can support green growth locally, working with partners in the public, private and academic sectors. The region is already an established centre of innovation, home to the first industrial revolution, an ecosystem for invention and commercialisation. The low carbon technology sector already makes a significant contribution, as Tim referred to. It has the potential to make up over £9 billion or 10% of the economy in the coming years. Greater Birmingham built specific technology strengths and can drive the UK green recovery by commercialising them. It is the beating heart of the UK, and our transport system connects us locally, regionally and nationally. Investments in digital connectivity support green ambitions to improve both resilience and productivity to create the circular economy. For example, COVID-19 changed the way we work. Reductions in travel positively impacted our environment, and we want to see that as permanent change. The UK government has made clear that the West Midlands is vital to achieving its plan for a greener industrial future, elevating the need for the region to have a strong voice in the green recovery, the Build Back Better conversation as part of the wider levelling up agenda. The Midlands took a lead in prototyping and deploying ultra-low emission vehicles, pioneering next generation technologies such as fuel cells, autonomous vehicles, battery and hydrogen cars, and nuclear generation to accelerate the UK towards net zero targets. This makes the West Midlands attractive to overseas investments wanting to scale up the industries named by the Prime Minister, which will in turn help to maintain the local and national global economic competitiveness. The West Midlands has a thriving cluster of energy expertise, and highlights include over 2,500 people working across a cluster of 115 companies. In an R&D ecosystem founded on unique academic industry partnerships, developing next generation tech with industry across key sectors such as nuclear power, heating and cooling at the University of Birmingham, biofuels and energy from waste at Aston University, and green entrepreneurship and fuel cell commercialisation at Birmingham City University Steam House. The West Midlands Combined Authority publicly funds the Energy Innovation Zone, which fast-tracks clean technologies and pilots smarter infrastructure to give local supply chains the competitive edge. This includes Tyseley Energy Park, which we will hear from later, and the Energy Capital, which is formed by public partners such as the Energy Systems Catapult. The Adelan co-founders run the Midlands Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Network, supporting local vehicle OEMs to use fuel cells and hydrogen in vehicles. We have hydrogen vehicles available today in Birmingham. Public investment in infrastructure and devolution of decision-making to the regions will create more opportunities to level up. The region has the very rare capacity to invent, deliver to market, and scale up manufacturing the solutions needed to achieve net zero targets. We can develop local solutions, create local jobs and products for export. The substantial challenges to businesses following COVID require increased support to businesses to scale up and commercialise disruptive innovations to deliver this net zero target. Public funds supporting HS2, Commonwealth Games, WMCA and Birmingham City Council must partner with the government to draw through local innovations to reduce carbon, air pollution and waste, putting the green recovery into action. Last year, the Greater Birmingham Solihull LEP engaged with 70 regional low carbon and environmental technology stakeholders to create the region's first low carbon and environmental technology sector plan. I was voted the first chair of the industry-led steering group. 19 businesses now support the LEP to create the low carbon industry voice, defining high priority projects to tackle local problems like waste, air pollution and carbon, growing businesses and jobs. We encourage all low carbon businesses to get in touch, and we have a new low carbon small grant fund available to promote diverse talent. Please see the LEP website. The LEP already invested almost 9 million of local growth fund to support the construction of a regional low emission refuelling station at Tyseley, supporting the University of Birmingham Centre for Energy Innovation and partners across key sector priorities. David Horsfall, who is Property Director of Webster and Horsfall Group and Director of Tyseley Energy Park, where the LEP have invested 9 billion to enable green growth, will now present. A reminder, if you've got any questions, then please put them in the chat box as we can have a Q&A panel session for a short while. David.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to let me speak today. What you've just seen is an illustration of what the future of Tyseley Energy Park will look like, and over the next 5 minutes I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we're going to get there. So for those of you that don't know about Tyseley Energy Park, we are a family business started in 1720, and the consolidation strategy for the business was really what kicked off the vision behind Tyseley Energy Park. And really that's evolved over the last 10 years. And now what we're delivering, rather than being led by my family businesses, being developed by a consortium of stakeholders, all of whom have a passion for creating a low carbon future for Birmingham and the West Midlands. The slide here is to illustrate the core areas of focus that we think about when we're developing the site. So low carbon energy, low carbon transport, and waste and recycling. The blue arrows here are to illustrate the specialist areas that are being driven through the Birmingham Energy Innovation Centre that Katie Trout mentioned earlier on. This will be fully operational by April 2021. The second green bar up, the Energy Incubation Hub, is a recent development within the site. So on the back of the various development that's been brought forward, we've had a huge amount of interest from businesses wanting to co-locate within the site. So for the middle of next year, we're looking to develop space within the site from refurbished office, lab and industrial space for around 20 SME startup businesses to be supported within the site, with a view to commercialising those technologies and either bringing them forward within Tyes Energy Park or across Birmingham or the West Midlands. And then you've got the energy park itself, where there are fully commercial operations. So the bar on the left-hand side there is to illustrate we're trying to drive low and zero carbon technologies through the entire process, from that initial concept through to full commercialization. The image here is just to illustrate where we are now. The area probably needs a little bit of updating because 4A is under construction at the moment, but just to give you a feel for where we're at. So the first phase of development there is a fully operational biomass house plant that produces green electricity for the entire site. Phase 2 there is a low and zero carbon refueling station. So this is a first of a kind development that wouldn't have happened without funding from the local enterprise partnership. So GBSLEP invested in the road infrastructure into the site on a development that was marginally viable. And now that's unlocked the low and zero carbon refueling station, which next year we'll see 20 hydrogen buses refueled there. We already have 200,000 litres of biofuels offered to fleets across Birmingham. Compressed natural gas will be operational in 2021, as will electric charging. And that's led to lots of really exciting discussions with others. So phase 3, for example, is showing, this is conceptual at this stage, but the idea of mass hydrogen production for transport or heating, a large waste and processing plant, all of which is sort of clustering around the investment that's already taken place. 4A is the Birmingham Energy Innovation Centre that you heard about earlier. 5 there, so we're illustrating the sort of space we are releasing and the collaborative space that we're looking to introduce in those blue images in the bottom left. And the big hope is, the ambition is the development of a national centre for decarbonised heat, which is on the left-hand side of the page, which is looking at how you tackle big challenges around decarbonisation of homes. So that building will potentially allow development of technologies like heat pumps, hydrogen for homes, district heatings, as well as a skills academy, creating training opportunities for the future. So my final slide is really about the kind of wider opportunity. So the green area is the Tyseley Environmental Enterprise District. So there's an amazing area with 250 businesses with some amazing assets like energy from waste plants, a transport corridor, and lots of businesses, all of whom share the ambition to decarbonise. So Tyseley Railway Station, there's a large small heath, as the lots of fleet that use the energy from waste plant. So what we believe is that the work that we're doing at Tyseley Energy Park has created some momentum. The investment that the Greater Birmingham Solihull Local Enterprise Partnership has invested in Tyseley Energy Park has created momentum. Lots of businesses are starting to cluster around the activity that's already happening, and we're already seeing green opportunities, green growth. We're engaging with lots of businesses, lots of schools, and we're going to carry on building on this over the coming years. And hopefully you'll see that we can be a catalyst for change. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for sharing fantastic work that's been done at Tyseley. Up next, we have another inspirational story. Interface is a global commercial carpet, tile and flooring company, which in their own words is on a mission to overcome the biggest challenge facing humanity, to reverse global warming. In 1994, they set out to eliminate negative impact on the environment, and they've delivered on their mission zero commitment. But the journey doesn't end here. To tell us more, please welcome Becky Gordon, UK and Ireland Sustainability Manager for Interface.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here today. I want to share with you the journey that Interface have been on, the plans that we have for the future, and some of the lessons that we've learned on the way. But before we begin, I want to tell you who Interface are and who I am. Interface are a global leading manufacturer of beautiful design-led flooring. We produce carpet tile, luxury vinyl tile, and rubber flooring. We design with the climate in mind and have a 25-year history in sustainable progress. Our UK head office is based in central Birmingham in the Colmore building. I am Becky and I've been with Interface for over 10 years. I work in our global sustainability team covering the UK, Ireland, and the Middle East. So now you know who we are, let's get started. Firstly, you might think, why is a flooring manufacturer wanting to talk to you about sustainability? Well, as I mentioned, it's something that we've been doing for a long time, over 25 years in fact. In 1994, a customer asked our founder, Ray Anderson, what Interface were doing with regards to the environment. He didn't have an answer, but he wanted to find out more. He went away and he read up on the topic. He decided that the take, make, waste system that made our products was one that needed to change. But he also knew he needed help. He assembled a team of experts in sustainability and biomimicry to decide what direction we should take. They came up with Mission Zero, our ambition to have no negative impact on the environment by 2020. And since 1994, we've come a long way. This is where we've got to today with our carpet tile production. As you can see, these are really impressive numbers. We've reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 96%. We use 100% renewable energy in our carpet manufacturing, and we've reduced our product carbon footprint by 74%. And as a company, we're recognised for being a leader within sustainability. We are ranked joint 4th on the 2020 GlobeScan Leaders Survey, alongside Natura. It's fantastic to be recognised with much larger brands, such as Unilever, Patagonia and IKEA. Interestingly, we are the only company that's been on this survey since it began in 1997. So that's a summary of what we've done so far, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about the direction that we're going, particularly around carbon, as it's a key topic for a green recovery. At Interface, we've chosen to commit our business to tackling the climate emergency. Climate Takeback is our current mission to run our business in a way that reverses global warming, whether through our products or our operations. Our ultimate aim is to be a carbon negative enterprise by 2040. And this has been our path so far. From launching our mission back in 2016, we've done a lot, including developing a prototype carbon negative carpet tile to show what could be possible. We were able to make all of our products carbon neutral, and we started to look at incorporating carbon negative materials into our backings. A key moment for us was making all of our products carbon neutral, but this has taken time. First, we worked to lower the carbon footprints of our products as best we could. For our carpet products, we have been working on this for a long time and had achieved a 74% reduction in the carbon footprint. For our rubber and LVT products, we are relatively early on in this journey. The reduction in our carpet tiles was achieved with a range of approaches, from using less material to using materials with a lower carbon footprint and working with our suppliers to increase the use of renewable energy and recycled content. All of the projects we support are third-party verified using the gold standard or equivalent. We wanted to set a new standard for flooring and change an industry. If you can make a floor that's carbon neutral, then why wouldn't you? Since the beginning of our sustainability journey over 25 years ago, we've been working to end our dependency on virgin oil through our material choices. Through design, innovation, circular thinking, and supply chain collaboration, we are close to turning off the tap to virgin oil on our carpet tile products. Our bio-based research and development path has seen us consider a number of bio-based yarns and backings. Our recycled content research and development has seen us using yarns featuring post-industrial and post-consumer waste. So this is Sequest Bio. It's our new backing. It's a biocomposite containing bio-based and recycled fillers. It includes materials that, when measured on a standalone basis, are net carbon negative. It's a stepping stone towards a carbon negative product. It means our products have the highest levels of recycled and bio-based content than they ever had, up by 1/3 from our previous backings. And it can also reduce the carbon footprint of our product by 1/3. It means we are another step closer to turning off the tap to virgin petrochemicals in our raw materials. And our work on carbon hasn't gone unnoticed. Last month, the United Nations awarded us with a UN Global Climate Action Award for our sustainability track record and work on reducing our carbon footprint. Obviously, this is a very exciting award for us. It's not every day the UN recognises your work. One thing that has been really important for us at Interface is learning as we go along. We didn't get everything right first time, and we still don't. We launched our 25-year sustainability report in the form of lessons that we have learned. And I think that these lessons can be transferable to other businesses and organisations, regardless of size, sector, or industry. The first is the importance of setting bold, ambitious goals, moonshots, as they can also be called. The more ambitious and aspirational your mission, the greater its power. We say be unreasonable. Don't settle for incremental goals. If you want to transform something, set a goal that you don't know how to achieve yet. We knew that setting a goal of 0 was a bold goal, almost unachievable, but by doing so, we achieved so much more than if we had simply set an incremental goal. We believe that our next moonshot, Climate Take Back, will have the power to do the same. Another lesson we learned was that every vision needs a plan. To make a vision a reality, you need a mission, a plan, goals, and a way to measure success. It's impossible to reach a breakthrough ambition if you don't have a credible action plan. When we set our Mission Zero goal, we knew it wasn't just about making greener products. To work towards Mission Zero, we had to radically transform our entire business, starting with our thinking. We enlisted outside perspectives to help us determine the key areas of change needed in our business and to create a framework. We called our framework the 7 Fronts of Sustainability, and it included eliminating waste, benign emissions, renewable energy, closing the loop, resource-efficient transportation, sensitizing stakeholders, and redesigning commerce. Then, building on that framework, we set aggressive zero targets in many areas and built programs to help us achieve these ambitious targets. And we created a set of metrics we called eco-metrics to measure and report on our progress to employees and the world. We found that the plan we built was much more than a technical sustainability framework. It became a powerful communications tool, something everyone could understand and act upon. It gave everyone at Interface the roadmap to follow and the confidence that Mission Zero wasn't just an inspiring vision. It was something we could all work on to make real. We also learned that to change everything, you need everyone. It's one thing to have a mission, but making progress means getting every single one of your employees connected. This means inspiring everyone to feel personally invested in playing their part. One effort to achieve this involved using cross-functional teams from all levels of the company to eliminate waste. This programme focused employee teams on reducing waste in their factories and sharing best practices. Encouraging teams to share knowledge and the best ideas globally led to sustainability taking hold across the entire business. It also paid dividends financially, dramatically reducing costs from waste. The final lesson I want to share is to be transparent. Being transparent can sometimes feel uncomfortable, but tell the whole story and share whole company metrics. Pilot and push new disclosure and transparency approaches that you can scale to your industry and beyond. For Interface, transparency empowers our customers to become agents of change through their purchasing choices. When customers can compare products on equal footing, they can select the most sustainable ones, sending important market signals to encourage other manufacturers and companies to change. Once again, thank you so much for having me here today. I hope that you can take some of what we've learned on the way and transfer it to your organisations. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Becky. That was a fantastic example of how the ambition to be greener has been realised, and we hope it provides us all with some ideas on how we as individuals, businesses and organisations can look at putting green at the heart of the way we work and what we produce as we look to recover from this pandemic and seek new opportunities through the EU exit later this month. So please do keep those questions coming in. We're now moving on to our panel discussion. I'm delighted to introduce Councillor Ian Courts, who is a board director and leader of Solihull Council, who joins Becky Gordon and the Greater Birmingham Solihull LEP board director, Matthew Rhodes. And myself, and we'll answer some of your questions. We're also going to run a couple of polls, so please do take part, and we'll bring you the results at the end of the panel session. So, Ian, I will start with you. We're just having a fantastic conversation in the green room there. How do you see the green recovery playing out in Solihull and our wider Greater Birmingham region?
Okay, it's a big agenda, and it's one that has, can I say, short-term and longer-term actions. I mean, in the short term, what we're trying to do is to get people coming into shop more safely, if possible. You know, make greener methods of transport. I mean, one of the things we're pushing quite hard, and we're doing this across the region, is EV points. You know, electric vehicles. I've just bought one a few months ago, actually, and the difference is phenomenal. And you can imagine what the difference will be on air pollution. So that's one of the actions that's being taken by many councils, and that's to be welcomed. I mean, it leads into other things like it won't necessarily reduce the number of cars on the road, but it will help air pollution. And there are people that live in rural areas and that need transport because public transport isn't there. And I mean, one of the big issues that I have at the moment is the post bag. One post bag is full of letters saying we need more opportunities to cycle, and another says, what are you doing to the motorist? You know, so we have these dilemmas to deal with. Other things in Solihull, we have a organisation called Solihull Visioning Group that we've had for a number of years, and they look at means of making their businesses, shops and so on, greener, and, you know, bringing overall policy down to reality. And, you know, then on the longer term, we have an ambitious programme in Solihull Town Centre to, you know, a new master plan which envisages, you know, there'll be less retail and there'll be more business and more housing. To retain Solihull's place as a great place to shop and spend time. So there's a widespread agenda like this. We also have an enormous programme over in the HS2, what will be the HS2 interchange. In the wider region, we are pushing very hard things like the Gigafactory. Why are we importing all our batteries? You know, we not only need to you know, make them in this country, but actually make them near where the car manufacturers are, and that's a key point there. So, you know, there's a whole variety of different actions there. Retrofitting, we need our buildings to be more efficient, and that can involve a lot of local business and local opportunities. There's a flavour of a few things which we're doing.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Ian. Becky, what a brilliant story from your business. Of course, Interface is a global outfit, and SMEs in the LEP region may not be that scale. How can your story translate to those businesses?
I think, first of all, it's a recognition that, yes, Interface are very different. And I think that we benefited from having that top-down approach of our most senior person in the organisation wanting to create change. But I think a lot of what we've learned can translate to SMEs. I think that a few that I touched on in terms of being transparent, aim for the moon, I think they're all really important, because it doesn't matter on the size of your organisation. Yes, you might not be able to make the changes Interface made, as you know, that we have done over the time, but there is still definitely things you can do. I think that it's important to understand what your impact is first and foremost, and then start to address those areas. I think that you might not have the funds to do stuff, but ultimately it's a lot easier to make changes now than it was 25 years ago. It's easier to move to renewable energy plans and things like that. There's a lot of guidance out there. There's a lot of advice out there. one thing that is always good to do is look at other companies that have done similar. So I've done previous talks where Interface have been kind of the big corporate organisation, but there's smaller organisations. I did one in the Gloucester region where Forest Green Rovers were there talking about what they'd done in their stadium. There's lots and lots of examples out there of companies and organisations that have made changes, no matter how big or small, that have had a really good impact.
Brilliant, thank you so much. So yeah, there are lots of examples of best case and best practice. So Matthew, the LEP has a low carbon sector as a priority area, but there's more to the green recovery than that. What do you think? What would you recommend?
Thanks, Michaela. That's a very big question. It's great that the LEP has low carbon energy technology sector as a focus, because it's really important we focus on specific areas. Otherwise, our activity gets a bit diffuse. But I think there are much bigger opportunities in the most people would see that as decarbonising the energy system. So it's technologies like hydrogen, which is your business, and even nuclear, offshore wind, all those kind of things. But in the end, those are only about 10% of manufacturing jobs in the UK, and to a lot of people, they'll seem quite remote and a long way away. And really 2 points I'd make. There are quite a lot of people who don't actually know they're in the low carbon sector, so they may not realise it. A little bit like the famous quote about you speak prose and you don't even know it. I can't remember the precise quote. So if you're in housing, if you're in buildings, if you're in transport, as Ian's alluded to, then you're actually in the low carbon sector, because it's much cheaper and easier often to deliver decarbonisation by changing the way you build houses or changing the way you build cars or transport systems than it is necessarily to change the energy system. So don't think you're not in the low carbon energy technology sector just because you're not making energy. And I think the second point is we often forget how we take energy for granted. So we take cheap energy for granted in all the activities we do, whether that's manufacturing things or the office spaces we have, the development parks we have. And that's probably going to change in the future. So we need to start thinking about different ways of doing almost everything we do over the next 20 years. And that's getting more and more pressing and more real for everyone. They're all commercial opportunities. We should approach them as opportunities, not just as threats.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And you're right, at the moment businesses are really having a tough time, and we have to acknowledge that in this session. And this is a question really to all of the panel. What can the LEP do to support them in order to create a green recovery? Ian, if we start with you.
Well, the LEP's got a unique position in all this as an organisation that both champions the region in terms of the businesses in it, but it also has this combination of business, the academic sector and public sector, and it's a brilliant combination and a brilliant collaboration that can actually fight the corner for the economy and business. I mean, at a local level, there are many things. Let me just give you an example. We're very good in this country at technology. We're great at inventing things. Just look at our history. How many of those have ended up overseas or somewhere else? I mean, just look at some of the opportunities that are now being created in the Prime Minister's 10-point plan. But actually just look at how many are being dominated by foreign firms at the moment. Now, what we have to do is to capture those opportunities, not just the UK, but for the West Midlands, and if possible, for smaller businesses, because smaller businesses could go on greater business. So I think the LEP has a wonderful position to be able to exploit that and to help people through things like the Growth Hub.
That's brilliant, thank you, Ian. Yes, I agree with you. Commercialisation of these inventions would be really valuable and then creates that growth and local jobs. Becky, would you have an opinion on that question? How can the LEP support the small businesses?
I think a lot of the time it's just connecting the dots. So I know from Interface's perspective, we've learned from others around us. And I think having an organisation that can help put businesses in touch with other businesses that they might be able to learn from, I think that is key, because we don't all need to be pioneers. We can learn from each other. And I think that the support that organisations can give each other is really, really important.
Okay, so brilliant. So networking and support within specific sectors. Matthew, how can we support the local businesses into the green recovery?
Well, I think first of all, I'd say that one of the things that really impresses me about the LEP, and I've been involved with it a long time, is it really does get its head around this agenda. This came up at the very first LEP board meeting I was at 4 years ago, and it now comes up increasingly at virtually every meeting that I'm involved in with the LEP. So it's beginning to permeate every aspect of the LEP's agenda, and as Tim and Katie said earlier, that's quite a broad agenda. We do quite a lot of things. I think the LEP, if to answer your question directly in terms of how the LEP supports this businesses in this space, there's direct investment in energy projects like Tyseley Energy Park, where we've leveraged 50 or more million pounds worth of investment with quite small investment originally from the LEP. We run support programs using EIF funding historically, but I'm sure we'll continue them using other money when we get it, to support businesses to make change in this kind of space. And then I think we can use our purchasing power as well as a specifier and as an investor in projects. The public procurement's a really big opportunity. When for example, Birmingham City Council redeveloped Smithfield and that High Speed 2 comes in, every time those projects come in, that's probably £1 billion of investment in this region each time. And a lot of that can be green investment. It makes markets for low carbon energy technologies. Fantastic opportunity to give local businesses a leg up and a kind of kickstart in this space. So the LEP's got a really powerful role to play, actually, and I think it's one of the public bodies that realises that to a greater extent than a lot of other ones. So we've also got a role in agitating and getting the local authorities and other public bodies to come with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I think maybe that sparks another question. I mean, do you think that we're being ambitious enough? Do you think we could be more ambitious? And especially when approaching national government at the moment with its very clear objective of a green industrial revolution, do you think that the region could be more ambitious in its ask for support?
So are you asking me?
Yeah, let's see first. Yeah.
I think maybe I think the region's actually being very, very ambitious, and I think it could be better informed and better resourced in the way it asks the question. So if you look at a lot of the local authorities within GBSLEP area, they've put out, I may get Birmingham's ambition wrong, zero carbon ambition, something like, is it 2026 or 2030? And how realistic is it? That's very ambitious. That is massively ambitious, right? But do we have the capability of delivering it in the region? I'm not sure we do. And so you have to be realistic as well. And it's not necessarily the local authorities' fault that they set those targets and then kind of question how we deliver it. I think we need to be realistic in making sure we get the right resources in the right places to support the right ambitions. I think that's probably a simple answer to your question.
Brilliant, thank you. Becky, do you think we should be more ambitious, or do you
I
think we've got this right?
Much more to add to that. I think that having a net zero goal of, I think, is it 2030? Did you say the net zero goal is quite ambitious? It's much better than the sort of UK ambition of 2050. So that sort of puts that in perspective in terms of how much more ambitious the 2030 goal is. But I think there's absolutely no doubt that for the climate emergency that we face, really, really bold goals are needed. And I think that the bolder your goal and the bolder your ambition, the sort of more people are incentivized to actually make big change rather than small incremental change.
Brilliant, thank you. And Ian?
Well, I would always go for more ambition. Before we started this conversation, I think I said that 25 years ago, I gave my first talk on climate change, and I'm afraid we haven't progressed that much since. I think we also have to be realistic. I have to respond to Matthew because in Solihull we have a 2030 for council operations and 2041 for whole borough. But you know what we've planned, and this afternoon I'll be looking at carbon budget alongside our financial budgets. You know, and we're on track for what we're doing there. So, but you do need to be realistic. I mean, trees is an example where, you know, we've got a 250,000 objective, and this year we're going to beat that. So, you know, I think it's extremely important that you set yourself ambitious, challenging targets, but take people with you and businesses, because one of the problems we have is that people think it's for someone else. I mean, one of the important things is what's poshly known as circular economy, but really it means reducing waste. You know, if we could reduce waste a lot more, that might reduce imports, that might reduce carbon emissions and all those things. So, and it needs to be multifaceted. So, yeah, go for ambition, go for realism, but let's be practical and get stuff done.
Okay, brilliant. I've just got a bit of feedback now from the polls as well. So the first poll question was asking, how prepared are you to introduce or deliver net zero targets within your organisation? And it looks like many are already doing it, but also many need more support. So what more support should the LEP be targeting? I mean, we've got this low carbon sector plan, and there is some initial support for small businesses, but what else can we be doing to support those small businesses to address local problems that we've touched upon here? So air quality, waste, carbon. Matthew.
We've talked already quite widely about the range of things that the LEP does. I think there's probably more we could do in terms of encouraging collaborations in this space, because a lot of the opportunities arise from putting together people who've not necessarily worked together in the past. And in particular, I think Ian did touch on our university sector earlier on, but we've got some fantastic universities in the GBSLEP area with very complementary expertise. So we've got BCU, which is quite good at buildings and building technologies and smart stuff, which is a big part of this agenda. We've got Aston with EBRI, which is the bioenergy research. That's all about fuel, waste to energy, and using biomass to make energy, and the University of Birmingham with all its expertise in hydrogen and broader energy activities. So I think linking those academic institutions into the problems of today and not just the problems of 20 years time is something the LEP and businesses in general have got a really important role to play. I can talk for a long time about this, but other countries have done very well by actually focusing their academic and the intellectual people who think about these problems on the problems of today a little bit more than the problems of the future, and that makes commercialization much easier because you're working on it together from the beginning.
Yeah, so that's absolutely critical. Yes, supporting those small businesses through the academic sector. Becky?
Yeah, probably not my area of expertise in terms of how you can support businesses. I probably know more from what businesses could actually be doing and should actually be doing, but I think they're all valid points, and I do think that area, sort of the topic of collaboration, is so important. What we can learn from each other is invaluable, and encouraging businesses to have critical friends, so friends that can look at what they're doing and kind of advise where, in a nice way, where they might be off track or where they could be doing something better.
Okay, and Ian, the final word to you. Okay,
digital. Okay, that's it. Support home working, support home shopping, do all those things. Really important. And that's with the public perception at the moment. So you know that's really how we have to move forward.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to everyone for joining the panel, and for David as well for giving the presentation earlier. I think it's been really exciting to see what's going on, and also to hear about what is planned for the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll return now.
Thank you.